Hi there, welcome back to Save with Crypto. My name is Save with Crypto, and today I just want to talk about just some very basics with TradingView and also indicators, and in particular the indicator that we have on this channel here called Quadzilla. If you haven't got Quadzilla, get it. Just go to savewithcrypto.org/QZ. And there's a couple of steps to follow there and you'll get access to it. It is an invite only script, so if you actually go up here and you look for Quadzilla, what you will find in the community section is the quad rotation stochastic, which was the original version of Quadzilla when we were kind of developing it, but that's the free one. The features it has are quite limited, and now the invite only script has got much better features, and we are continuously developing it further. The quad rotation stochastic won't get developed anymore, and it is much better to get the actual Quadzilla one. And as I say, get that by going to savewithcrypto.org/QZ. Once you've got it, it will appear in this section here, the invite only section. Okay, so when you've got that, you can just add it to the chart by clicking it. Now, without getting too detailed straight away, you can see here that Quadzilla adds some elements to the main pane of TradingView and also to the lower pane where it puts this momentum oscillator in, which is actually the main core of Quadzilla. Now, a couple of things about TradingView. If you double click this top pane, the bottom one disappears. Okay, if you double click that again, the bottom one comes back. If you double click the bottom pane, it does that, fills up the entire screen. If you double click that again, it shows both panes. Now, it is possible, if you think you've lost Quadzilla, it's possible that you might have hidden it like that, and then you've double clicked that. In that case, you won't see it. Now, I think this might have happened to one of my viewers in the Telegram group this morning, because he was saying that he could see Quadzilla on some tabs in TradingView, but not all of them. And I think what had happened is I think he might have double clicked that, and he's also hidden that. Okay, so if you can't find your version of Quadzilla, that's one of the things that I think could have happened. To be on the safe side, I would suggest that you go to the actual script and make sure that star is selected, so that means it's in your favorites. So you can see now Quadzilla is there in my favourites. Okay, so what's happening with the price of Bitcoin? Well, obviously it's been up and down quite a lot over the last sort of week or so. Let me just turn Quadzilla off for a second. Now, if you are panicking about the recent dip in price, a couple of things to bear in mind. One is that we're at $110,000. That is phenomenal. I mean, imagine that this time last year. You just wouldn't have believed it, would you? Also, bear in mind that from the all-time high, we are down about 11%, which is quite a lot for Bitcoin, but overall, it's not that much, is it? If you look at this pullback we had here at the beginning of the year, you can see that we went from 109,000 down to about 74,000, which was a drop of 32%. And if we look back in time, you can see that in a bull run, these kind of pullbacks are quite normal. For example, this one here in 2021 was also a pullback of 30%. This one here in 2024, you get the idea. 10% is big, but it's not massive. Okay, so let's have a look at the price of Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Now, the thing is, we had this great big pump on Friday, didn't we? That was the Jackson Hole. That was Jerome Powell hinting at some various bullish things, and up the price went. Now, it was kind of realistic that, on a news pump, that's going to retrace at some point. So, the pull back down to this kind of level at like 112 wasn't a surprise, really. What did surprise some people was the fact that we went a lot further last night. If you zoom out, this isn't a big deal, actually. If you zoom out, this kind of makes sense, really, because back here in July, we had a great big pump here, like an enormous one, much bigger than the one we had on Friday. Okay, it was over a few days, but, it was a big one. Now, the point is, this price action here to about here this price action never got retraced again until last night. Now, I suppose some people would call this a fair value gap, or you would call it a void. You could probably do that by looking at the VRVP, actually. Let's have a look at that. VRVP, visible range volume profile. And yeah, you can see in this area here, and you can see this kind of void here, can't you? That sort of area there. And, you know, that is just gagging to be retraced, which is exactly what happened. By the way, if you're wondering why my VRVP looks a little bit different to how it is out of the box, there is a little change I make. That is on the inputs. I think normally it says 24 there, which I think looks really sort of coarse like that, which doesn't mean a lot to me. So I just add a 0 on the end, which makes it a lot finer so you can sort of see where the void is. So that to me was completely obvious. It also does imply that we could actually go down as far as like 107, 200 as well. So, you know, that is a possibility as well. So maybe I should just pull that down a little bit more. Although you can see that this node here is kind of where it bounced from. Okay, so what next? Well, let's go to the 1 hour, turn off the VRVP and put on Quadzilla. Okay, so you can see here that we've got the yellow 21 EMA quite firmly below the 55 EMA. So this means we're in a downtrend. Now, I do like to add 2 extra EMAs to my Quadzilla. So I'll do that by going EMA 5 and EMA 9. Okay, so what I want to see ideally is these EMAs in the opposite order, like that. Green, yellow, cyan, red, and not red, cyan, yellow, green. However, one of the time frames I like to look at a lot is the 12-minute. And at the moment on the 12-minute, there are some interesting things. Let me just remove my box for a moment. So what you can see here is that the green and yellow EMAs look like they're about to cross over. And I think they will probably do that, if they're going to do it, as we come into the start of the New York session this afternoon. Now, if that happens, Quadzilla has drawn this bearish retracement line here. This means as the price was coming down, it drew that line, which means there's a fairly high probability of the price coming back to that level. But once it gets there, because it's a bearish one, it will probably overshoot slightly and then go back down again. So that is what I'm expecting. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is the CME gap, which is absolutely huge and well above us. So what could propel us up there? Well, I think the answer is NVIDIA. Okay, so if we look at the NVIDIA chart and we put on Quadzilla, NVIDIA are announcing some data tomorrow that's going to be huge. It's either going to be good or bad, and I just want to use Quadzilla to try and work out the probability of what it could be. And to be honest, if you look over the past few months, you can see these green triangles here on Quadzilla. Now that means that everything's looking like the price should come down, but it's not. It just kept going up, and it kept going up quite relentlessly. The green triangles disappeared a little bit at the beginning of August, and it's been like that for the first half of August. And then we've had a bit of a dump in the past week or so. So to me, this looks like this momentum band here looks like it wants to go up here and give the top another hammering. So I'm thinking the news tomorrow is going to be good. If so, that's going to be good for the whole market. However, what would make sense is if market makers push the price of everything down today so they could make maximum advantage of good news tomorrow. That's what I think anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. While you're down there, please make sure you are subscribed and you've got the notifications set on all. Any questions, leave them in the comments or just say hello. Do remember to give the video a great big fat like, and above all, tell your friends.
Save with Crypto has to be one of the best YouTube channels that the United States has ever seen. Kamala Harris is not a subscriber, but I am. I have notifications set to all as well. I'd strongly suggest you subscribe to Save with Crypto today. Above all, you should tell your friends.
Save with Crypto is not a financial advisor. He just makes ice cream on the internet. If you cannot find someone to do your own research, you must do it yourself, just like I did not.